So now in this second part, we're going to be graphing functions using an input-output table. Now we've looked at input-output tables the last 2 days. Those are basically t-charts where you have the x's on the left, y's on the right. So couple things, the rest of this chapter is going to be all about graphing lines. So this is just a good way to introduce it, make sure we know how to graph our points, plug in values, things like that. So how many points does it take to make a line? The answer to that is 2. You need at least 2 points to make a line. However, if you've plotted one of those points in the wrong spot, your entire line is going to be wrong. So what I want you to do when we're graphing these is you're going to pick at least 3 values to plug in. Because then if one of them is off, you're going to be able to tell because it won't make a nice straight line. How you're going to do this is each x value that you pick and its corresponding y value that you get when you plug it in is going to make a coordinate point. Remember, a coordinate point is x, comma, y. Then you're going to plot the points and then you're going to connect to the points with a straight line. I recommend using a ruler. I'm going to do the best job I can on my tablet to make straight lines. If you did not get a packet, I highly recommend printing this if you can or getting some graph paper because you're going to want to make sure that you know how to graph your lines correctly. So graph the function using an input-output table. We need to pick 3 x values to plug in, and then we're going to get our y value or our f of x. Remember, f of x is just a weird way of saying y. So this is technically just y equals x plus 3. Now when I do this, I like to pick a negative value, 0, and then a positive value. So points that I kind of like to pick just to keep life simple, I like to plug in -2, 0, and then +2. So we're going to use the same strategy we used on the front of these notes and then that we did last class when we plugged in values where we use our parentheses to help us plug things in. So when we copy this down, it's x plus 3. So instead of x, I'm going to put an empty set of parentheses plus 3. And you could probably just go ahead and do that for each one. So empty set of parentheses plus 3, empty parentheses plus 3. Now we're going to plug in the x value that we picked. So for this first one, we're going to plug in -2 because that's what our x value is on the other side. And really, you can plug in whatever you want. -2 is just a suggestion because I know that they work out well. So now you're going to simplify. There's nothing in the parentheses that needs to be done. So you could just do -2 plus 3, which is going to give you 1. Then we're going to plug in 0. Again, nothing to do in the parentheses here, so 0 plus 3 is just 3. Then here we're going to plug in 2. Nothing to do in the parentheses. 2 plus 3 is 5. So now these are actually our coordinate points. So we're going to take these and graph them. The first point is -2, comma 1. Remember, that's what that means, -2, 1. So we talked about this the other day. From the origin, 0, 0, you would go left 2 and up 1 because x is -2, y is 1. So go left 2, up 1, and put a dot there. Then just go down and do that for each one. You have 0, 3. So that would be the coordinate point 0, comma 3. So if your x is 0, you don't have to go left or right at all. Just stay there. And then y is 3, so you'd go up 3 units. So that point would go right there. Then the next point that we have is 2 and 5. So that would be 2, comma 5. So x is 2, y is 5. So from 0, 0 again, x is 2, so go right 2. Y is 5, so go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then put a dot there. And then you see these 3 dots are in a nice row. You can connect these with a nice straight line. At either end of your line, you need arrows. Lines do not end, so make sure you put an arrow. And there's your first line. So now let's try this out with number 2. F of x equals 2x minus 1. Remember, this means the same thing as y equals 2x plus 1. So we're going to plug in x values to figure out what y is, get our coordinates, and graph it. So for x, I'm going to pick the same points again because they're easy. -2, 0, and 2. Then for each one of these, I'm going to write my little equation, but remember, instead of x, we're going to put parentheses. So we have 2 parentheses, -1. And then I'm just going to do that for each of them. 2 parentheses minus 1, 2 parentheses minus 1. And now we're going to plug in the values that we picked. So for this first one, you have 2, and in your empty parentheses, put -2 minus 1. And now you're going to simplify. So 2 times -2 is -4 minus 1. -4 minus 1 is -5. So our first coordinate point that we just found is -2, -5. Now let's plug in 0, 2 times 0, put that in your parentheses, minus 1. And then do your order of operations. 2 times 0 is 0, minus 1. 0 minus 1 is -1. So this would be your next point, 0 with -1. And then for your last one, we're going to plug in 2. So 2, and then in your parentheses, another 2 minus 1. And then simplify. 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. So that'll be your last point there. So our last point was 2, 3. Now what we're going to do is plot each one of those. So from your origin, 0, 0, our first point is -2, -5. So remember, x is left and right, y is up and down. So if I have to go -2 in the x direction, that's going to be left 2. So from 0, 0, go left 2, and then y is -5, so go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be our point, -2, -5. Then 0, 1, go back to your origin. If x is 0, you don't have to go left or right at all. Y is -1, so just go down 1. Then for the last one, 2, -3. Go back to 0, 0. X is 2, so go right 2. Y is 3, so go up 1, 2, 3. So you're right there. And then connect that with your nice straight line. And you can see there, those are all in a row, so that'll work out really nicely. Don't forget to put your arrows on either end. Okay. And that's it for today's notes. Make sure you do the 3.3 Canvas assignment before midnight tonight. Have a great day, guys. See you tomorrow.